Welcome to the Morning Track Power Hour. I am Dr. Andrew Scans. He is Dr. Michael Werman, Esquire. On today's show, we'll get into the continued difficulties the Kansas City Royals are having with good teams in Major League Baseball. We'll talk a little about the NBA and NHL Finals that are underway, and maybe not so competitive series so far. Got a little NFL news, a little Chiefs news. We'll lead today's show with a couple of contract stories. Uh, Mike, what do you think of the Trevor Lawrence $275 million 5-year deal? End up tying Joe Burrow for the highest paid NFL quarterback on a per year basis. Are they the top two quarterbacks in the league?
No. I think you can make an argument that Burrow, when he's healthy, might be one of the two. I personally wouldn't put him up there, but I think there's an argument to be made that he's one of the top two. I would say I would put Mahomes and Allen as one and two, and then maybe Burrow is third, although maybe I'd rather have Herbert than Burrow even. Burrow
Yeah,
just has an absurd amount of talent around him.
yeah,
But I don't know. Um, but Lawrence, I would maybe put in the top half of quarterbacks in the NFL. He's really yet to show himself to be that kind of, generational prospect that he appeared to be when he was, he really kind of actually peaked his freshman year in college when they won the national championship. He didn't really play
yeah.
quite as well after that, and then he hasn't played that well in the NFL either. He's been decent, but this is the time kind of to show that he's worth all that money. But I guess it's just the going rate for quarterbacks is to get 50 plus million.
Yeah.
So you have to give it to everybody. And
So it's usually just like the highest paid NFL quarterback is whoever got paid most recently. Isn't that whoever's contract was that most recently?
yeah, the way inflation is going, and
Yeah.
um, yeah, at least for NFL salaries, and the salary cap is increasing, and so yeah, I think it's going to keep going up. Maybe if you're somebody like Mahomes, you might be a little upset about it, but
And now,
um,
now falling to seventh, I believe, on the highest paid per season.
yeah,
In contract in salary for from the league at least anyway. I think.
for the league, yeah, he's just getting all that money. Then was it 20 million a year in endorsements or something like that?
Yeah,
That's Tom Brady, Roger Federer kind of level, Tiger Woods in his prime level of endorsement deals, Michael
and I think he
Jordan
got something like 3.5 million from the Players Association for his
for
like
his jersey
jersey
sales and
sales.
things like that.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And so in Kelsey was up there too. He's got to be up there in the endorsement money now.
I think they were both in the top five for
Yeah.
from the Player Association uh license fees, I guess, right? And then
Yeah, I guess, and also you think about
yeah,
how high he would be if he had been dating Taylor Swift longer than the last several months. So you would have had a whole year to bask in it. He didn't have that all that time, but um, I think I'm a little surprised that Kelsey wasn't on the cover of the new Madden game
mm,
because Mahomes has been on fairly recently, but like I think it would sell the most. Like all the Taylor Swiftie fans would, even if they aren't even interested in playing the game, they might buy the cover because it has Kelsey on it. Rather, Christian McCaffrey was put on it, but like you would think that maybe that's if I were Christian McCaffrey who has that kind of injury-prone history, I would be a little nervous about the Madden covers, as traditionally that is a curse on the player that year. So.
yeah.
Um,
It hasn't been a full curse, I guess, right? It wasn't the year Mahomes was on. He did have an injury that season, but it wasn't like
yeah.
season ending, I think, right? Wasn't that the
Was that
kind
the
of the
year
breaking of
was that
that?
was that when they won was that when they won the Super Bowl that year?
I think
Or I guess
so.
or I guess they no they didn't win that year. They got I was when they were the runner up to
Mm.
um Tampa, I think, was when
But there was
Mahomes.
like a streak of years where the Madden cover ended up having like season-long
Yeah,
injuries.
yeah,
Not just like
exactly.
they wouldn't win the Super Bowl, but they would actually be like physically knocked out of the league for
Yeah, yeah,
most of the season.
ACLs and things like that. But
Yeah.
so yeah, I would. Yeah, so if I guess it's not really a curses aren't real, but if I would still, I'd still have McCaffrey be a little worried. Um,
No.
well, and speaking of contracts, there was another big contract that was turned down in the sports world, and that was Dan Hurley, the coach of the UConn men's basketball team, turning down the LA Lakers offer of $70 million over 6 years. Wasn't that something like that?
Yeah.
Um, would you have turned down that offer if you were Dan Hurley, Dr. Scaff? You're still making, I don't know, 5 million maybe a year as
I
the
think it was
basketball
yeah
coach.
32 million over 6 years for at UConn. So it's not terrible money. But yeah, LA was basically offering him double the salary to also not have to recruit, all of your off season too. So seems like NBA coaching is a lot different than college coaching, just because you have to spend your whole off season recruiting and then
Yeah,
not do like NIL stuff too. But I don't know how much they have to deal with as a coach. But
I guess in basketball it's not as hard as football because you only have 12 players to deal with rather than 85 players
yeah,
uh, to recruit or more with walk-ons. So it's maybe the recruiting isn't quite as intense, because you still have to, like, if you're an NBA player coach, you probably have to like wine and dine free agents and stuff like that. So
yeah,
there's still some of that recruiting that goes on. It seems like, especially when you have LeBron James on your team, he seems to he's getting recruited by lots of people right now,
yeah.
I'm sure.
But it may be more of like a managing egos at the NBA level than it is, you know,
Yeah.
coaching young players to become the, basketball players of the future sort of scenario. So it may be more of like a people managing skills rather than like training, coaching skills. But you
Yeah.
think that would be easier though? I would think like physically easier than
Well, yeah, I would,
the college rigors of being a coach and recruiter all year round.
yeah, I would guess maybe that if this happened, this offer had been next year rather than this year, maybe he would take it because I think he wants to go for the three-peat at UConn, which would be at least unprecedented since the days of, I guess, UCLA probably when they won a bunch in
Yeah,
a row. I don't know. I don't think any team has won three in a row since then for sure. So,
right.
uh, and there may have not even been a team that won three in a row outside of UCLA. Uh, but um,
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I'm looking it up.
Yeah, I mean, three in a row is difficult at the major league levels. The top tier professional leagues is
Yeah,
pretty uncommon to win three in a row. So college, though, with how much turnover there is year to year, it'd be really surprising to be able to do three in a row.
Kentucky won three out of four, 1948 through 51. Yeah, there's a lot of two in a row. Cincinnati won two in a row. Kentucky, Oklahoma A&M, now Oklahoma State won two in a
Pretty
row.
Oklahoma State.
Yes. Um, UCLA won one, two, seven in a row and 9 out of 10.
Yeah,
Or not, oh, and then 10 out of 12
that's
from
crazy.
1964 through 75. 10 out of 12.
That's one of those like dominant streaks that will be likely impossible to match.
Yeah. Um, then Florida won two in a row in the maybe in the 2006, 2007. And then we have, yeah, I guess Villanova won 2 out of 3
Hmm.
somewhat recently, before UConn. So yeah, so it's a, I think it's an accomplishment that you would like to have. So maybe that means more than coaching the Lakers after LeBron is perhaps gone. And
Maybe gone, don't know yet. Yeah, he's got
yeah,
like an opt-out, I think, so he can't leave. So
but maybe they knew, maybe the Lakers knew that they didn't think they could get Hurley, so they wanted to offer it him because it seems like they're going after JJ Redick. I had heard Redick's name before they offered the Dan Hurley contract, and then now I'm hearing it again. So uh,
hmm.
I don't know what. Um,
Yeah, with no formal coaching experience, I think he when they made the first sort of announcement that they were like he was the likely candidate that maybe got a little bit of blowback in the media from the lack of experience at the coaching level. And then was like
yeah,
a host of podcasts with LeBron sometimes, and that may have been like his
yeah.
audition
Well,
for.
he was
Yeah,
of course a solid, maybe
sure.
not a great NBA player, but a solid NBA player, a role player for many years. So I'm sure he knows
Yeah,
how the NBA works and operates, and so it's.
right.
I don't think it's that unusual. I think he's is he an ESPN analyst now, or
I think
TNT,
so.
or one of the
Well, I
networks?
mean, the Lakers already have a precedent for bringing someone from the analyst role, an announcer role into coaching, right? With Pat Riley was they brought out of the booth essentially into the coaching staff.
Oh, I didn't know that. Pat Riley
Yeah,
was
with Showtime Lakers, like he had no coaching experience at the time, so
he he was.
he was a Lakers announcer like in 1980 or 1979, something like that, when they pulled him down into
You're
the
right. You're right. Yeah, he was in
he became an
the.
assistant coach first, and then became the starting coach not too long into it. But was did you watch any of that Showtime?
Showtime. I never saw the Showtime series, so yeah.
Uh, yeah, the Rise of the Lakers dynasty. I think it was pretty entertaining. It's pretty entertaining.
It's John C. Riley in it, right? As Jerry Buss, is that?
Yes, Dr. Jerry Buss. Yes,
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah,
I
pretty
guess I'll.
entertaining. I know the show got a lot of blowback for some liberties that they've taken, I guess, with some of the characters and uh, but a lot of it was how I sort of remember some of that
Yeah.
happening. Some of the character types that were there were portrayed how they sort of seemed from the media from that era.
Okay.
So I don't know that it was really that
I'll
different,
check.
but it's people
Yeah.
were not happy with it. But it
I'll,
was very entertaining to
I'll
watch.
check it out.
The
Yeah.
series, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So also we talked. The Chiefs are also going for a three-peat this year,
yes.
and they brought back this week Super Bowl hero Mecole Hardman. Brought it back on I think 1 year deal for a little over $1 million. Not a very big contract. Uh, do
It's
you think
essentially
bring
the league minimum, I guess, right, for the
yeah
veteran. Yeah.
yeah Do you think bringing back Hardman was the right decision? Are the Chiefs still looking for more receiver help, or is this probably where they stop?
Well, I mean, it seems like, yeah, for the money, that's a great deal. Somebody you already know fits in with the club. You already know fits in with Mahomes as a receiver. Like they're not probably expecting him to be a number one receiver, number two, maybe number three receiver. Like, not really expecting that from him. So, I mean, it seems like a no-brainer, I think, from the Chiefs to bring it back. But yeah, they still looking for somebody else. I'm sure they'll still keep their eyes open. And if somebody else, you know, this isn't breaking the bank for the team to go after.
Yeah, they still have a decent amount of salary cap money left. I think there's like $13 million out there that the Chiefs could use to sign. Maybe they're waiting until cut down time and are trying to. We'll try right before the season starts to pick up somebody. But
Yeah, they've
yeah,
always seemed to find somebody that another club releases that they have interest in. So
yeah,
it seems like they always want to keep a little bit on hand just for that scenario. Doesn't they end up with was it Pennell? Last
Hmm.
year they ended up being pretty important, like late in the year. I think he was a guy they like got
Yeah, he had
maybe
been on Chiefs a couple times before, like
yeah,
spurts, and then yeah, he was like a late, kind of signed off the scrap heap, put on the practice squad, and
yeah,
brought back in again. He played really well at the end of the year, and
yeah,
now he's on the team, the regular roster again.
yeah,
So yeah, so the Chiefs are in mini camp, or right now. I guess the biggest story in mini camp was a few days ago when uh, BJ Thompson, the one of the backup defensive linemen, had a seizure and a heart attack. Uh, and then I guess so what do you think that Thompson's going to have going to be able to play this year? Do you think he's going to uh, have a spot on the team, or is this maybe medical? Maybe this is the physically unable to perform kind of thing you put him on. I don't. It's hard to.
yeah. It's well, that's one of those really tough things to do as a club is decide what to do with a player when they have like a medical issue that you don't want to have to deal with during the year as a franchise. But you hope that he's okay and hope he can contribute in some way. But you don't know what his status is going to be, maybe for even before the season starts necessarily. So they'll have to watch it
Yeah,
really
it's a
closely and see
scary
what they
thing.
can
You don't want it to happen
yeah,
again.
just
You got
right.
to worry about his just health, physical, staying alive, even rather than football, career even. So it's yeah, it was a, almost a real tragedy that occurred. But fortunately, yeah, he was able to you know be revived and make it to the hospital in time, and then now he's been released to his home. So um, I guess we wish him a speedy recovery here at the One Trade Power Hour. But yeah, it's one of those things like you said. What do you do with a player? That's what you should do. You don't want to be heartless and callous, but it's a business, and you want to have the players on the team. There's only so much money that you can pay. These players. There's only so many roster spots to go around. So it's
I
it
mean,
comes
with like
sometimes.
sort of like medical issues, there are ways to like keep players on the roster, but not necessarily have them, take up a roster spot. And I think a lot of the contracts, for like a long-term injury they have like some kind of insurance basically to cover
Mhm.
them.
And they have injury settlements that they can reach with players and
Yeah,
things like that too. But maybe that's what will happen. But
yeah.
uh,
So but even if he's unable to play, there should be ways to keep him, you know, on, the same like insurance, like medical insurance
yeah,
without being the heartless route of just, letting somebody go for
give him Cobra for a couple months, and then
right. Hopefully it's not one of those kind of scenarios. Yeah. Yeah.
well, shall we? Yeah, I don't know what else is going on with the Chiefs. It seems like maybe they're still talking up Louis Rees Zamet as a potential kicker slash return man slash do it all special teams player, which I think is interesting. So I think the kickoff situation is going to be fun to monitor. It's also something that Mecole Hardman would be. He was a great returner, so he's one of those other guys who could be added to that return
Mhm.
when he was signed. So I I I think I'm actually looking forward to the season partly to see how the kickoffs work. I didn't really
Yeah.
watch the XFL and see how it worked there. Did you
Yeah.
watch any of those games and see how the kickoff worked, or you remember
I watched
happened?
bits of the USL or UFL games, but I haven't I don't think I caught any of the games from the beginning to like see like the initial kickoff and stuff like that. So I didn't really pay attention that much to it, honestly. Have you watched any of the UFL games at all?
No, I haven't gotten a chance to see really anything.
Yeah.
So, um, but yeah, well, I mean, the season's almost over by this point, isn't it? Isn't it?
I think they're in the playoffs and maybe like the finals are even this weekend or next weekend. I think they're getting, into the end of the season.
Hey, the UFL Championship game is on June 16th, 2024. So they've
Yeah,
uh
this weekend.
You can have tickets are as low as $4. I see. So you could go and send St. Louis. So better
Well,
scam.
that's unfortunate.
You've probably wanted to see a football championship game for a long time. Would you pay $4 and drive to St. Louis to watch the UFL championship?
No, no,
No.
no.
Um,
If you're willing to go to St. Louis to meet me there, I would
well,
consider it.
it's farther away for me than it is for you. I
Yeah.
would, if I were in Kansas City, we were both in Kansas City, maybe I'd say, let's go. Uh, you'd get to see the Birmingham Stallions and the USFL conference title winners against the XFL conference title winners, the San Antonio Brahmas. Um, so that would be I think it'll be an interesting game. It's on Fox at 5 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. So you'll you should watch it, Scott.
Yeah. Are you gonna watch it?
If I get a chance, I don't know. I might be on the road. I'm going to
What
Pittsburgh.
what time was the game again?
4 o'clock Central
Very good.
on Sunday. So
Yeah.
5 o'clock Eastern time from the Dome at America's Center, the former TWA Dome,
I believe that is also
and
Father's Day. Yeah.
the former Edward Jones Dome. Yes, it is Father's Day
Yeah. Yeah.
in the United States. At least it's Father's Day. We do have a worldwide audience for uh, One Track Power Hour. It seems like we have a number of European fans,
Is that
and
right? Were you mobbed by fans on your recent Ireland trip?
no, I was not. Well, they're probably all podcast listeners rather than the viewers. So they no, so I don't think anybody recognized me. I even if they heard my mellifluous voice, I don't know if they
That
still know
voice
the place it.
sounds so familiar.
Yeah. Um, no. So yeah, no, I had no nobody who thought that they knew me or recognized me or anything like that. So I was an anonymous tourist in southeastern Ireland,
Undetected through Ireland.
undetected,
Not mobbed by fans.
not mobbed by
Hmm.
fans.
Hmm.
Speaking of undetected, we might think that there's an undetected amount of competitiveness in uh, in the NBA and NHL finals going on right now. The NBA finals, it's the Boston Celtics up 3-0 of the Dallas Mavericks, winning each game handily, although they kind of had a little bit of a tough time. It was a little bit of a comeback in game three that San Antonio, Dallas made it a little bit close, but um, in the NHL, we also have uh, so far an uncompetitive series where Florida has beaten the Oilers two games to nothing, and they're actually ahead right now 1-0 in the second period in game three in Edmonton. So do you are these finals, are these have they been disappointing to you, or are you okay with one team dominating another?
And I'd rather see them be more competitive. I guess the NBA finals have been a little disappointing, I think, to watch with Boston just completely dominating Dallas for the most part. Except as you mentioned, like for the nearer to the end of game three, it was still relatively close. But uh, yeah, and Dallas has lost the first game at home, so now they're in 3-0. Well, it's looking very unlikely that they will be able to mount much of a comeback. I think the NBA records of down 0-3 is near impossible historical odds. Uh, the NHL still has hopes for being competitive. It's just the home team won the first two games, so we kind of expect that to happen typically.
Well, basically, you need
So
then to come out with a win tonight to make it anywhere remotely
right,
interesting. And if they lose, but they lose tonight, that will
then
be.
it's likely going to be in the same boat as the NBA Finals.
But your team, the Florida Panthers, who you picked as the Eastern Conference champions, would be the winner over my Edmonton Oilers. So you would have bragging rights in the NHL. Although I have already reserved that basically for the NBA.
Right.
Uh, and I guess unless Dallas has a miraculous comeback, um, my Boston Celtics that I picked are going to be the champions. But
That's right.
yeah, I, I think the most so far I think the most interesting story is also uninteresting. Uh, comes out of the NHL that the former Arizona Coyotes who moved to the Salt Lake City area are now going to be known, at least temporarily, as the Utah Hockey Club. Uh, Similar to the old Washington football team, the Commanders were for a year or two. What do you think of the Utah Hockey Club? Do you think that's a solid name? I think it is still one of the names that they might keep permanently. It's I think there's some other nicknames like the Yetis or the something. Uh, I'm not sure what other Sasquatches. I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
What are the I don't remember what the potential names.
I don't know. I don't know that I heard what they if they filed for trademarks or anything. Uh, but I don't know. It seems like it's always like the sort of cop out solution to just go with hockey club or football team,
Oh,
and
so I
it's uninventive, uninspiring, but it's fine. It's fine, I guess. I don't know. This is not offensive in any way. It's just sort of bleh.
So they have right now I found the nicknames. The nicknames that are still in contention are Mammoth, singular, Yeti, singular, Outlaws, Blizzard, Venom, and Utah Hockey Club. Only one S name. I'm not a fan of the collective or single like I like
So no,
or
you're not a Kraken fan. You didn't
not
like that.
really.
I kind of like the Kraken. I don't know.
It's all right, but I think it should be. And would the Krakens be any worse?
No, it's fine. Either would be fine, but they went with Kraken now. So
Yeah, I guess I'm. It sounds too WNBA for my taste, I guess.
uh,
There's a lot. If I
kind of
were
like
a
Storm or the Liberty.
yeah, it's or MLS too. I think it doesn't fit in with with the traditional kind of American league, American sports league nicknames.
Yeah, yeah. MLS followed. Yeah, the soccer clubs of the
European
European leagues. Yeah,
but also kind of modern uh expansion team leagues or rival. It seems gimmicky to me. I don't know. I didn't like the Kansas City Wiz when it was the Wiz. uh but I don't know. I would rather have them be
the
the
first Sporting KC over the Kansas City Wiz.
no, not actually. I think Wiz is funnier. Sporting KC's okay, I guess. It's become a thing, but
Yeah,
I still like I understand why they did it, but I still kind of
yeah,
like the American conventions when it comes
yeah.
to
Naming conventions. Yeah.
names. And so
So Utah Hockey Club though, does that
it's a tough
but you
it's
like the Washington Football Club
I did like the Washington
football
football team
team?
name, which I thought was
Yes.
really funny. It was the most exact team appropriate team nickname that you could have. So I guess this
Yeah.
is the same for hockey. I Yeah, so I don't mind it, but it's so lame that it's kind of fun. Which is you know so it's one of those things where it's bad enough that it can be okay. I like the Washington football team. It was bad enough.
Did you like the color scheme that the Washington Hockey Club has gone with the names of the colors they've used and the
It's
mountain blue,
Mountain Blue.
rock black and what is
Salt
it?
white.
Salt
Salt.
white. Yes,
Yeah.
salt white.
Salt. Yeah. So it's like white and light blue and black.
Yeah.
It seems a little subdued, but maybe that's what I don't know. That's what they want. So maybe they're kind of cool colors on the ice. I like a little bit more color, but I guess that's fine. I thought the logo looked kind of good, but you just the state of Utah, basically.
Eh,
Which it's easily
uninspiring. Is that what you're saying?
it's easily
All of it is
recognized.
uninspiring, just like the state of Utah. Is that the Mike Norman treatment here?
Utah has some a lot of scenic uh, vistas and national parks and mountains and deserts and things like that.
Yeah.
I think the you know it's it's not as far as Western states go, it's not a fiery kind of Latino seeming state, which I think makes it a little less more bland, uh, given its kind of white bread history. But uh, it's yeah, I of the four corner, I prefer it would probably be the least my least favorite of the four corners states
Well,
of the four. New Mexico would be number one, and then I'm not sure between Colorado and Arizona as number two, but Utah would definitely be number four.
spring training's in Arizona though, so that's gonna
Yeah, yeah,
be
and,
an
and
edge over.
You don't like the Broncos, so maybe I'll put Arizona as
Yeah,
number two. It's yeah,
there you go. Yes, very good. Makes
uh,
sense.
makes sense. Speaking of the spring training in Arizona, the Royals are playing right now as if they still need. I still maybe they're still kind of hungover from spring training. At least when they're playing good teams, they've lost most of their games to teams with winning records. They recently just concluded to earlier today. This is being air. We're filming and recording this on a Thursday because of my trip to Ireland instead of on our usual Tuesday. So we'll release it on either Friday or Saturday, depending on how much time Dr. Scaff has. But the Royals completed a four-game series, losing three games to one to the New York Yankees, basically only winning their game four, a game that they almost squandered uh, because they
It
blew.
was, I mean, it was lost, and then they
Yeah,
managed to like pull it back out at the Johnson
yeah,
defeat.
they're up 2-0, down 3-2, and then walking out off the bottom of the night 4-3 on a Michael Garcia double. But yeah, so what do you think of the Royals right now? They're 40-30, so 10 games over 500, which is at the beginning of the season. If they had been 40-30, we would be we would have been ecstatic. Are you still feeling ecstatic about the Royals, or are you seeing this as the beginning of a bad trend? Because now they're going to Los Angeles to play the Dodgers, for 3 games, or is it 4 games in
3 games set in LA,
3 games in
at
LA?
LA. Yeah,
Yeah.
brutal stretch though for the Royals here. Yeah, four games
The
at home, I
Guardians,
guess, against the Yankees, and then a 3 game stretch in LA.
yeah,
I
they
guess as
haven't
a
won
reward, they
4 in a
will get
row.
a 3 game series against the A's, who have been struggling. So if they survive these games, they will get a little bit easier competition up next after the week. But
But Bobby Witt Jr. is still uh, heating up offensively.
yeah,
He's leading the American League in batting now. He's up to 330 after today's game, I believe. So he was picked off and caught stealing again today. So some more Royals were thrown out on the base paths, which seems to be happening at an alarming rate.
Toot
Um,
Glad was that the
Tutaplan, yes, thrown out on the bases like a nincompoop.
yes,
Tootland
yes.
twice. I guess twice Tootland for Hollywood Jr. But he was on base multiple times this past game. But yeah, he's up to batting 330. Salvi is kind of struggled. At least he's down below 300 now.
Yeah.
On base percentage is still
Most
solid.
of his difficulties have been not having somebody behind him to protect him in the lineup. And I think once Massey went down with his back injury, then
Mhm.
Sal's batting average has plummeted. Because I think he was the league leader at the time in batting
Yeah.
average, and now he's dropped off quite a lot. And yeah,
Do you
but
switch Sal and Pasquantino? Maybe.
that's what makes the most sense is just to have somebody behind Sal that they have to like at least try to pitch to. They can't just pitch around him at least anyway. Because like right now, it's frequently it's Delta Velasquez sitting behind him, and he's been so inconsistent this season that it's not really a threat. So like they can either just walk Sal or try to walk Sal, but he may swing at pitches anyway. It doesn't necessarily matter if they're strikes. Sal will offer at some pitches he thinks it can hit at least anyway.
Mhm.
So it's yeah, it's been a pretty frustrating week though. They're now like 12-19 against teams that are above 500. So 7 games under 500 there, which means there's 17 games over 500
Mhm.
against clubs with losing records. So as long as they play teams that aren't very good, then they have a decent chance of winning, or they have anyway. Hopefully, the stretch won't extend, you know, reverse that early trend, winning games against bad teams. So
Yeah.
a lot of times you get bogged down, get used to losing, where you start losing other games for no reason too. And
I know, Dr. Scaff, you've been critical of some of these decisions the Royals have made. Mike Petraro has made in managing games, player usage, bullpen usage. Do you think was the worst decision
lineup construction.
lineup construction was the worst decision that happened a couple nights ago when Dan Altavilla was the opener instead of putting Daniel Lynch out there was going. That was the first time that I think the Royals had gone with an opener this year, and Altavilla did manage to get one batter out, but allowed several runs. Maybe six. Was it 6 runs that he allowed? Uh,
I think he was responsible for 5 of the runs
okay.
because he left, I think, 3 guys on, and Lynch allowed maybe all of them to score. Maybe he left 2 guys on, and they all scored. Anyway, but no, I mean, I think we've talked about the opener in the past, and I just don't see it as a valid use of players or a strategy in Major League Baseball unless you have like a really specific set of circumstances which the Royals do not have.
Or if
Um,
you have several really good relievers that you could throw out there at any one time, that's like the
yeah, you have to have more good relievers than you have high leverage situations, and they just don't have that. They barely have one closer that they're even really confident in, and he's struggled at times too, James MacArthur.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, the situation though, I mean, of late they have been giving up a lot of runs in the first inning, which is a little strange, seemingly that maybe their starting pitchers are not prepared for the opposing lineups, which is more of a management problem, I think, than anything else. And they were Lynch has had trouble in the first inning of late. They thought maybe they could help him out by giving him the opener. But then he made it to make the situation worse was they went to a guy they just brought up to the roster just I think 3 days earlier or something like that. I think he did one appearance, which was good, but that's not a reason to think that he can, get through the 1, 2, 3 hitters in the Yankees lineup, and get the game into the second inning without any damage. Um, he was only able to get one out, left guys on, and then just to make the situation even worse. And then Cochero ends up having to go to Lynch with guys on base for somebody who's supposed to be a starting pitcher that doesn't come into this situation
Mhm.
normally. It's, I mean, we saw this a lot last year. They tried to use the opener with like no success last season, like at all. And so they go back to it this year makes no sense at all. But even having Altavia on the roster was an oddity of this season too. Not really. a player that you would expect the Royals to add to the 40-man roster to bring up to the major league level. He's 31, 32 years old this season, I think.
Hasn't been in the majors for about 3 years prior to this.
He's
Partly that was
unlikely to be part of the Royals' like long-term future. Probably not a trade piece because anybody could have signed him. It's a
Mhm.
really kind of maddening to see, you know, interesting players at the AAA level that you're going to want to protect from the Rule 5 draft next year. I mean, why not just add one of those players onto the 40-man roster and make them, eligible to come up to the major league level, being promoted, having been, somebody like Altavia promoted over them. And then
Somebody
as an aftermath, then Altavia still on the roster and Daniel Lynch has now been sent back to AAA. Probably, maybe not really being looked at as being a solution for filling in the rotation, maybe for the at least the short term, if not maybe the rest of the year even. Who knows?
Yeah. I know that you've liked a relief pitcher in Omaha that you think should have been added to the roster and maybe brought up as a potential opener, and that is Walter Pennington. Uh, he sounds like a he owns the country club.
Yeah. Probably wears a monocle, maybe
Monocle,
on the mound. I don't
cig
know for sure.
long cigarette holder,
Yeah, I assume. I mean, I don't.
or
We
cigar, I
haven't seen
guess.
we haven't seen him pitch, so hopefully
Walter
that is the
Walter.
case.
He's at least probably a third or a fourth if his name's Walter Pennington.
You
Uh,
think?
but yeah, he's had really good success so far in Omaha.
Yeah,
Um,
great numbers in AAA. High strikeout rate, low walk rate, CRA is low. They've used him as a starter occasionally. They've used him as a reliever different times. So it seems like he's not being challenged by AAA competition. That he should be major league ready, but why they would go to Altavia over him just to have the roster spot, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. And it's really annoying as a Royals fan to see them making these weird decisions that are difficult to explain, and then seeing the results be immediately bad, and so that everyone can see how bad the decisions were so quickly. It's
yeah, and
maddening, very frustrating.
Pennington's not like he's like 19 years old or something like that, so you're holding him back, or you want to game his service time or something like that. He's already 25 or 26, so he's young still, but he's not overly young for a major league roster for sure. He's fairly old, maybe even just make his debut, so you might as well just see what you have in him rather than going with, I think, Altavia, maybe who already he's trying to recover from Tommy John surgery, but
Yeah,
he's not. Yeah, he's not. I can't see in the Royals' long term plans. Maybe as a
but it
middle
fits in with
reliever.
like what you had mentioned about the spring training type mentality,
Mhm.
because he is a guy that they brought in as a non-roster invitee to spring training to see how he would play after having a year of recovery after his Tommy John surgery. So makes sense for Altavia at that point, but now in June, it doesn't really make
Yeah,
much sense. And then there were a couple other roster moves this week after Hunter Renfroe fouled multiple pitches off his toe.
which
They said it was a fractured toe, but now they're saying it is not a fractured toe. You think it's weird that the Royals medical staff is unable to diagnose broken bones, I guess,
well,
from
you just think there'd be an
exercising
X-ray. You just think
during a
you just
game?
have
I
an
don't
X.
understand.
You have an X-ray, and they would say is it's broken or not broken, and you can
Yeah.
tell back there. I think usually you would say, well, we thought it wasn't broken, but it turns out there's a hairline crack that we missed at first or something. Like that
Yeah.
makes more sense. Like if we don't think it is, and then it gets worse because of later diagnosis, or maybe it had quite developed or something. But
There'd
yeah,
be like, yeah, stress fractures, hairline fractures. You wouldn't necessarily see in a quick and dirty sort of X-ray in the stadium, lower, you know, basement or something, wherever the X-ray machine is in the
yeah.
stadium.
Yeah, so like you can see that, okay, but then it's like we thought it was broken, then it turns out it wasn't. Like, what's that? Yeah, that's just kind of funny, I think. But I'm glad it wasn't broken.
Yeah.
But
And he,
I
he had been heating up too. I think he had a 9-game hitting streak.
mhm.
And I think he raised his batting average quite a lot. He's still not having a very good season, but had as of late had been playing much better. I think Adam Frazier was added to the bereavement list. So the Royals then, I think 3 games ago, called up Drew Waters and Nick Prado, both who potentially have positions in the long-term future for the
Mhm.
Royals. But then they were not used very much in the remainder of the Yankees series.
Yeah.
Waters, I think, started the first game. Prado was brought in as a relief pitcher to pitch the
Mhm.
ninth inning of a blowout game and has not been seen since, even though he's still on the roster. Waters, I think, made an appearance as a defensive replacement in today's game and
Yeah,
got on base in the ninth inning, but was wiped out by a fielder's
you
choice.
would
So
you would think
he's at
that
least getting
both
into games anyway.
Waters and Prado would be inserted in the lineup because there are so many holes in the lineup. Even though Prado's a first baseman like Pasquantino, who has struggled, but he's been at least consistently over 200 in his batting average and has some home runs and RBIs on the year. But Nelson Velasquez has struggled as DH. Why not put him in as Prado in as DH, or put him at first and put Pasquantino as the DH? Put Lofton and Waters, in more in the lineup. Um, the younger guys and just see what they can do. Hampson has been all right, but like there's so many holes, it seems like, in the bottom of the Royals lineup that, if you bring some new guys up from Omaha, why not try them out when it seems like the other spots are not producing? So
Yeah.
it's
Hampson is my current infuriating player, though. It's
because of his toot blonde.
and he started today over Lofton at second base, and I think he got at least one hit today, but he also like committed the error that led to the 3 runs
Mhm.
that the Royals gave up in the eighth inning against the Yankees. So, like, there's always something that he seems like he does or is around that causes problems with the team, even though he shouldn't be playing to begin with, because I don't understand the concept of going outside the organization, getting a utility player.
Yeah, utility players you think are just failed people that prospects that failed to really latch on as second baseman, shortstops, third baseman. Somebody, but they're decent enough fielders. It's the Nicky Lopez kind of type of player that is the.
Well, like if Mickey Lopez was used appropriately,
Mhm.
just occasionally, rarely, but only in like certain scenarios, but not expected to be an everyday player, it's kind of okay. If your regular guy's played like 14 straight days and just needs a day off, then it's fine. You got a guy that like can competently fill in for a game. That's fine. But taking away playing time from young players that you think have a future on the roster is defeating the purpose of having a young team and developing players. Like there's not really any point to this. We're looking at a potential, second straight wasted year where you don't actually learn anything from the players that you have when they do stuff like this. It's again, this is infuriating in a lot of ways as a fan of the club. Or maybe you may not be quite as frustrated then though as maybe I am watching the team. I don't know.
You're closer in. I'm watching them from afar. I'm just following the box scores and things like that. So I don't have uh I'm not my fingers not on the pulse of the Royals like it is like yours is. But yeah, it seems like there's been a lot of wasted opportunities and time management that the Royals have kind of squandered. Uh, Speaking of the wasted time and opportunities, should we wrap up our uh, weekly edition of the One Trick Power Hour?
Sure.
I'm trying to find some good segues today. Uh,
Yes. There you go.
so yeah, we didn't I guess we didn't talk about the Belmont
Hmm.
stakes at all. Uh,
So,
but
who won? Did you end up watching it
no, I didn't watch it. I was in
from Ireland?
I was in Ireland. No,
It's on
and
appointment television in Ireland, the Belmont Stakes.
actually, the horse racing is really big there, and
Yeah.
I saw lots of horses, but Dornoch won 17 to 1 odds. Um, so that was the
Well, Honor Marie finished fourth, apparently.
yeah. I voted. I did bet on Anna Marie again and lost. I also bet on Antiquarian, who got fifth. So
Mystic Dan finished way down there.
yeah, I didn't do Mystic Dan, but Mind Frame. I had thought about doing Mind Frame as a bet, but I did not think of Dorna.
Was it Seize the
Uh,
Gray that won
Sees the Gray won the Preakness,
Preakness?
and
Yeah,
Mystic
Mystic
Dan won the
Dan won
Kentucky
the
Derby.
Kentucky, right? Yeah.
Yes, exactly. But
Hmm.
yeah, so that was the Belmont. So the Triple Crown is over. We had no Triple Crown winner this year, and no horse even won more than one race, which is I think typical. I don't know how many years there's I would say majority of the years it's three different winners, but we don't have because of American Pharaoh and Justify. Um, we don't have this that huge drought that we did for many years from like I think 1978.
77,
Yeah,
78, yeah, somewhere in there, right?
yeah, I think it was affirmed in 78 that was the last winner before American Pharaoh in 2015-ish, I think,
Yeah, somewhere in there.
and then Justify a few couple years later. So yeah, so it's not like yeah, it would be a big deal if we had a Triple Crown winner, but it's not. It was not as big a deal as it would have been 10 years ago. But
No.
yeah, the race at the Saratoga was shorter than
Hmm.
the normal Belmont because it was played because it was raced at Saratoga rather than Belmont Park, which was undergoing renovation. So it was only 1.25 miles rather than 1.5 miles like it usually is. Hope somebody was fired for that blunder.
Was it a close race, though? Was it a photo finish?
It was a half a length victory, so pretty close.
No.
Anyway, so well, that's our horse racing wrap up, but maybe we'll play maybe we'll just talk about the ponies every week from now on.
Yes.
Um, just there's I think there's some big races going on in Europe I think right now if you're
Hmm.
fan of European horse racing. Uh,
There's horse racing other weekends than those 3 weekends of the Triple Crown?
yes,
Huh.
but it's yeah. If we had been broadcasting this in the 1930s, we would really be into the horse racing part of it.
In boxing, probably.
Boxing, yeah, boxing, horse racing, and baseball would be the top three.
Yeah. Probably in that, maybe even in that order, right? Possibly.
Possibly, maybe horse racing number one, even, and
It
then
could be.
boxing, and then baseball three. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
Price. Yeah. Now think about I do sometimes wish it was like back the 30s when those were the big sports. They there's an old timiness about them that I enjoy. So, um, but uh,
Yes.
I think but that's about all the time we have uh, today. And so, if you are betting this weekend, good luck. Whether it's the ponies or the NBA finals or the NHL uh, finals. The Panthers up 4-1 now at the end of the second, towards the end of the second period. So it looks like it will be another 3-0 deficit for one of the teams to have to try to climb out of. So looks like both of these final series are going to be fairly anticlimactic unless something really changes in the next couple of games. So,
Yeah.
but we'll keep you posted here on the One Track Power Hour, and we'll of course keep you updated on all the Chiefs and NFL news and baseball news and things like that, things of that nature, as we go on next week. But until then, I am Dr. Michael Werman. He is Dr. Andrew Scaff. We are the One Check Power Hour. Please like and or subscribe to our podcast or our YouTube channel. And we appreciate your viewership and listenership. And we will see you again next week. And until then, we'll wish you a good day.